Have you ever wondered why, out of billions of people in the world, one single soul can walk into your life and instantly feel like home? Why their presence doesn't just attract you, but calms you, grounds you, and awakens something ancient inside of you? We spend so much of our lives searching for meaning, searching for belonging, searching for someone who sees us without masks, without performance, without conditions. And then, without warning, there's a moment when a person enters and the search feels different. It's as if the soul whispers, "You've been found." This is not about fleeting attraction, not about temporary excitement. It's something deeper, something that doesn't shout, but instead speaks in silence. It's the quiet pull of destiny. You can't explain it logically. You can't measure it in words. All you know is that you feel safe. Safe in a way that doesn't come from anything they say or do, it comes from who they are. Their presence alone feels like shelter, and the truth is, that is the first divine clue you've met your soulmate. You feel at home. Think about it. Most relationships start with effort. You try to impress, you try to prove, you try to hide the parts of yourself you fear will be judged. But when you meet a soulmate, effort gives way to ease. You don't feel the pressure to perform. You don't feel the need to hide. Your body itself responds differently. Your breathing slows. Your chest feels lighter. Your guard melts without permission. Psychologists call this emotional resonance. It's the nervous system's way of recognizing safety. Before your mind has even formed the thought, your soul knows this person is not a stranger, and that feeling is rare. Most of us go years, sometimes decades, without ever truly feeling it. That's why it's so powerful when it comes, because it doesn't happen with everyone. It doesn't even happen with most, but when it does, it changes you. You begin to realize that love was never supposed to feel like constant tension or insecurity. Love was meant to be the place where you finally exhale, where you no longer have to fight for belonging, because belonging is simply given. This is where the magic begins. That invisible thread between two souls doesn't need explanation, but it can be felt with absolute certainty. You might not even know why you're drawn to them. You just are. You might not even understand why they feel so familiar, but somehow, in their presence, life feels less heavy. The chaos of the world softens. The noise in your mind quiets down. It's not fireworks that make the bond so special, it's the peace. And peace is the foundation of everything your heart has been longing for. Ask yourself, how many times have you met people who looked right, sounded right, even seemed perfect on paper, but deep down, something was missing? You couldn't relax. You couldn't trust. You couldn't feel safe enough to just be. That's because attraction without resonance is fragile. It burns quickly, then fades. But resonance, that deep inner calm, is unshakable. It's what makes a soulmate connection different from everything else you've ever experienced. And here's the beauty of it. When you feel this kind of peace with someone, it's not just about comfort. It's also about alignment. Life has a way of placing people in our path who are connected to our growth, our destiny, our calling. A soulmate doesn't just walk beside you, they awaken the part of you that remembers who you are. And it all starts with that one undeniable feeling, home. Think about the reward of recognizing this truth, because once you understand it, you stop chasing the wrong connections. You stop wasting your energy trying to force belonging where it doesn't exist. You begin to see that love is not something you fight for, it's something you recognize, something you allow, something you nurture once you've found it. And when you realize this, you also realize that the greatest treasure in life isn't found in wealth or achievement. It's found in the rare soul who quiets your storms and awakens your peace. If you've ever felt that silent pull, that unexplainable comfort, that sense that your soul is both seen and safe. Pay attention. That is not coincidence, that is not chance. That is life whispering to you that you've touched something divine. Don't ignore it, don't dismiss it, lean into it. Because at the end of the day, we are all searching for that place where we can finally rest, not in a house, not in a city, but in the heart of another human being. And when you find it, when you feel it, you'll know you have met your soulmate. Home is where love begins, but it is not where love ends. Feeling safe with someone is the foundation, but a true soulmate doesn't stop there. They are not placed in your life just to comfort you, but to call you higher. They do not only see who you are today, they see who you can become tomorrow. Their presence becomes a mirror, reflecting both your beauty and your shadows, pushing you to face what you've been hiding, and awakening the courage to grow beyond your limits. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. Growth always is. When someone loves you deeply, they will not allow you to stay small. They will challenge the lies you've told yourself. They will question the fears that have been holding you back. And they will push you to rise into the version of yourself that your soul has been waiting to meet. It's not about criticism, it's about awakening. A soulmate doesn't shrink you, they stretch you. They bring out the parts of you that you've silenced. They remind you of the dreams you abandoned. They refuse to let you settle for less than the life you were created for. This is why their love feels so different. It's not just soft, it's strong. It doesn't just hold you, it shapes you. And the truth is, this is what real love is meant to do. Comfort without growth becomes complacency. Growth without love becomes pressure. But when the two meet, when love gives you both safety and strength, that is where transformation begins. That is the second divine clue you've met your soulmate. They ignite growth you cannot deny. Psychologists who study relationships have discovered that the strongest bonds are not built on similarity alone, but on shared expansion. When two people evolve together, their connection deepens in ways that ordinary attraction never could. This is because growth creates meaning, and meaning is what sustains love through the storms of life. A soulmate isn't afraid of your storms. They step into them with you, and instead of letting you drown, they help you rise above the waves. Think of the power in this. Most relationships are built on comfort zones. People fall in love with who you are today, but they resist who you are becoming. They feel threatened by your evolution. But a soulmate does the opposite, they celebrate it. They don't just stand by as you change, they encourage it. They are not intimidated by your potential, they are inspired by it. And in their presence, you begin to grow in ways you never thought possible. This is why at times a soulmate connection can feel intense, because they aren't just here to agree with everything you say. They aren't here to let you sleep through your purpose. They awaken you. They challenge you. They remind you that the life you dream of isn't waiting in some far-off future, it's waiting inside of you right now. And when someone sees that truth in you, you cannot go back to being who you were before. The reward of this kind of love is beyond measure. Imagine having someone in your life who refuses to let you give up on yourself, someone who looks at you and sees more than your mistakes, more than your fears, more than your wounds. They see your greatness even when you can't. They see your strength even when you feel weak. They hold a vision for your life that sometimes feels bigger than the one you hold for yourself. And because of their belief in you, you rise. You grow, you evolve. This is why so many people mistake conflict in a soulmate connection as a flaw. It isn't. It's a divine invitation. Growth will always create friction. The question is not whether you will be challenged. The question is whether the challenge is rooted in love. And when it is, you will feel the difference. You will know that the discomfort is not meant to break you, it is meant to break the limits that once held you back. If you've ever had someone in your life who pushed you to see yourself more clearly, who refused to let you abandon your potential, who made you uncomfortable but in the most necessary way recognize the gift, that is not ordinary, that is divine, because the truth is, the universe will always send people who reflect the level of growth you are ready for. And when you are ready to evolve beyond the surface, that is when a soulmate appears. So if you feel both safe and challenged with someone, if you feel both comfort and awakening, pay attention. That is not a contradiction, that is balance. That is love in its highest form. Love that does not let you settle for mediocrity. Love that pushes you to rise into the greatness you were created for. Love that reminds you that who you are is enough, but who you are becoming is extraordinary. And when you have found that kind of love, you are not just in a relationship, you are in the presence of destiny. Growth is powerful, but there is something even more mysterious that reveals when a connection is touched by the divine. It is the way time bends in their presence. With most people, minutes are counted. You glance at the clock, you feel the drag of silence, you measure the space between words, but with a soulmate, time dissolves. Hours feel like moments, and moments feel like eternity. You find yourself lost, not in distraction, but in presence. Their energy pulls you into a state where the past loses its grip and the future no longer matters. What remains is now pure, alive, unshakable. This is not infatuation. Infatuation is loud, chaotic, and fleeting. It burns quickly and leaves ashes. What happens in the presence of a soulmate is different. It's deeper, it's steady, it's timeless. Scientists call it limbic synchronization, the way two hearts, two rhythms, two nervous systems align. Without trying, your body matches their presence. You feel your heartbeat soften. You breathe more slowly. Your mind stops racing. You are not just with them, you are connected beyond words. This is the third divine clue. With them, time loses its weight, and life gains its flow. Think about how rare this is. How many people have you spoken to while secretly wishing the moment would end? How many conversations felt like work, where silence was uncomfortable, where you felt the need to fill every gap with noise? Now compare that to the experience of sitting with someone, saying nothing at all, and yet feeling more connected than words could ever create. That's the power of divine connection. Silence becomes sacred. Stillness becomes enough. You don't need entertainment. You don't need distractions. Their presence itself is the gift. And this is where so many people misunderstand love. They chase excitement, constant stimulation, a never-ending rush. But true love is not about escaping boredom. It is about transcending it. When two souls truly connect, even the simplest things become extraordinary. A walk, a meal, a quiet evening, these become moments of eternity, not because of what you are doing, but because of who you are with. That is the kind of connection that doesn't fade when the excitement fades. That is the kind of connection that lasts. Time is the ultimate test of love. Anyone can ignite sparks in the beginning, but only a soulmate sustains the flame without forcing it. Because they don't need to entertain your mind, they touch your soul. They don't need to constantly create thrill, they create peace. And in peace, time flows differently. In peace, love deepens. In peace, you find yourself not rushing forward, not dragging behind, but existing in a rhythm that feels eternal. The reward of this timeless flow is profound, because when you stop counting time, you start living it. You stop chasing the next moment and begin fully inhabiting this one. And isn't that what life is truly about? We spend so much of our lives missing the now, caught in memories of the past or worries about the future. But with a soulmate, you return to the present. They remind you that life is happening here, now, and that this moment is enough. There is another layer to this mystery. When time feels different with someone, it is because your souls are in alignment. Alignment creates flow. Flow creates expansion. And expansion makes you feel alive in ways ordinary relationships cannot. You may walk away from time with them feeling energized instead of drained, inspired instead of distracted, grounded instead of restless. They are not stealing your time, they are multiplying it, because what you gain in their presence outweighs the hours themselves. If you've ever been with someone and lost track of the clock, if you've ever felt that stillness where the world outside didn't matter, if you've ever realized that silence between you spoke louder than any words, pay attention. That is not coincidence, that is connection, that is your soul recognizing itself in another, and those moments are not small, they are sacred. They are signs that you are standing in the presence of something eternal. Most people spend their lives chasing time, trying to make it move faster or slower, always dissatisfied. But when you find your soulmate, you realize time was never the point. Presence was, connection was. Life is not measured in years, but in moments that take your breath away, moments that remind you why you are here, moments that carry the weight of forever, even in the span of a second. So when you encounter a love that makes time dissolve, don't question it, don't rush it, don't fear it, receive it, protect it, honor it, because it means you've stepped into something beyond the ordinary, a connection that does not just fit into time, but transcends it. And when you find that, you are not just in love, you are living in eternity disguised as now. There is a knowing that rises within you when you encounter someone your soul was designed to meet. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is quiet, steady, and undeniable. Doubt may speak in your mind, but certainty whispers louder in your heart. And this inner certainty is one of the clearest signs you have touched something rare, because with ordinary love, your mind questions endlessly. You wonder if you can trust, if they will stay, if the bond will last. But with a soulmate, the doubt never fully takes hold. Even when fear tries to creep in, something deeper within you keeps saying, yes. This is not about perfection. No soulmate is flawless, and no connection is without its struggles. But despite the imperfections, there is a foundation of trust that refuses to break. You feel it when you look into their eyes. You feel it when they speak without words. You feel it in the way your soul quiets even in moments of conflict. Psychologists call this a secure attachment, a bond where your nervous system doesn't live in constant fight or flight. Instead of fear, there is faith. Instead of panic, there is peace. And that peace is what makes the connection unshakable. So many people live trapped in relationships where insecurity rules. They second, guess every action, analyze every silence, and wait for the day it all falls apart. That is not love, that is fear disguised as attachment. Real love, soulmate love, gives you something stronger than reassurance. It gives you inner certainty. You don't need constant validation because the bond itself is validation. You don't need to beg for proof because the truth is already alive inside of you. This certainty doesn't mean challenges disappear. There will still be moments of misunderstanding, of miscommunication, of growth, but even in those moments the connection feels solid. You know deep down that the foundation will not collapse. And that kind of faith allows you to love more deeply, because you are no longer guarded by fear. You are no longer protecting yourself from being abandoned or betrayed. You are free to open, to give, to receive. That freedom is what makes love transformational. Think of the power in living from that place. How different would your life feel if you weren't constantly questioning the bond you share with someone? How much more energy would you have if your mind wasn't running endless circles of doubt? A soulmate frees you from that exhausting cycle. They don't give you certainty by making promises, they give you certainty by being aligned with your soul. Their actions, their presence, their essence, it all speaks the same truth. You are safe here, and that safety creates expansion. Because when you no longer live in fear of loss, you can finally live in the fullness of love. You can give without holding back. You can be vulnerable without shame. You can reveal the deepest parts of yourself without fear of being rejected. This is where intimacy is born, not in perfection, but in trust. And trust is the soil where love grows into something eternal. If you have ever felt this inner certainty with someone, honor it. Do not dismiss it as fantasy. Do not let fear convince you it isn't real. Because the mind can lie, but the soul does not. And when the soul whispers yes, it is speaking from a place deeper than reason. It is pointing you toward the path of destiny. The reward of this kind of certainty is liberation. Because the greatest prison in love is fear, the fear of loss, the fear of betrayal, the fear of being hurt again. But a soulmate releases you from that prison. Their love does not chain you, it frees you. Their presence does not create anxiety, it dissolves it. And in that freedom, you begin to live love as it was always meant to be lived, fully, bravely, without hesitation. So ask yourself, have you ever felt this quiet knowing? Have you ever been with someone and realized that even in moments of uncertainty, you were still sure? Have you ever looked at another soul and, despite the questions of the mind, heard your heart whisper, "This is it"? If you have, then you have touched something divine, and if you haven't yet, know this: it exists, it is real, and it is waiting for you. You were not created to live your life in relationships built on fear. You were not created to settle for bonds that keep you questioning your worth. You were created for connection that sets you free, for love that awakens peace, for certainty that lives deeper than reason. And when that love arrives, your soul will not let you miss it. You will know. You will always know. When your soul reaches that place of certainty, something extraordinary begins to unfold. You start to realize that meeting your soulmate is not the final destination of love. It is the awakening of a greater journey. Their presence doesn't just give you peace, it calls you into purpose. They don't just love the version of you that exists today, they inspire the version of you that tomorrow is waiting to see, and that is the divine gift of a soulmate. They awaken you to yourself. So many people move through life half asleep. They live by routine, bound by fear, surviving instead of truly living. They forget their dreams, silence their passions, and bury their true selves beneath the expectations of the world. But when a soulmate enters your life, it feels like a spark touching dry wood. Suddenly, the parts of you that were dormant begin to stir. The fire inside of you reignites. You begin to dream again, to believe again, to live with the intensity you were always meant to carry. This awakening is not always comfortable. In fact, it rarely is, because to awaken is to shed old patterns, to release false identities, to confront the ways you've been holding yourself back. A soulmate has a way of exposing the places where you've been asleep. They remind you that you are more than your fears, more than your failures, more than the limits you've accepted. They call you into courage, and in doing so, they demand your transformation. But here is the truth. You were never meant to walk this journey alone. Love is not just a feeling. It is a force that moves you toward your highest potential. And when you are connected to someone who sees your soul with clarity, that force becomes unstoppable. They become a mirror reflecting your greatness, a hand steadying you when you stumble, and a voice reminding you that your story is still unfolding. The awakening that comes from a soulmate is not only about love itself, it spills into every part of your life. You find yourself approaching your goals with new strength. You find yourself chasing dreams that once felt too big. You find yourself standing taller, speaking louder, living braver. Their love becomes the soil where your courage grows, and from that courage, your entire life begins to change. And isn't that what we're all searching for? Not just to be loved, but to be awakened. Not just to be seen as we are, but to be called into who we are meant to be. A soulmate doesn't let you settle for a half-lived life. They remind you that you were born for more, and every day in their presence becomes proof that you can rise beyond the limitations you once thought were permanent. The reward of this awakening is freedom. Because when love pulls you into growth, when love wakes you from sleep, you begin to see the world differently. Opportunities that once seemed invisible reveal themselves. Paths that once seemed closed begin to open. You carry yourself with a confidence that no one can take away because it is built on truth. And this truth is simple. You are alive for a reason, and love was meant to awaken that reason. Ask yourself, have you ever been moved so deeply by someone's presence that you felt yourself changing without effort? Have you ever felt braver just because they believed in you? Have you ever looked at them and realized that their love wasn't just for your comfort, but for your calling? If you have, then you know what it means to be awakened by love, and if you have not yet, trust that it is coming. The soul does not seek in vain. Meeting your soulmate is not an ending, it is a beginning. It is the beginning of a love that transforms you, a bond that empowers you, a connection that carries the fingerprints of destiny. And when you recognize it, when you honor it, when you choose to grow within it, your entire life changes. You don't just live, you rise. You don't just exist, you expand. You don't just dream, you become. So do not ignore the clues, do not dismiss the signs. When love calms your soul, when it pushes you to grow, when it bends time, when it gives you unshakable certainty, and when it awakens you to who you were created to be, understand what you have found. You have touched the divine through another human being. You have been given the rarest gift life can offer, a soulmate, and if you have been blessed with that, protect it, nurture it, and let it transform you. Because in the end, the greatest miracle is not just to find love, it is to be awakened by it.